Greetings, this is CK, and it has been a week. Let me tell you what. I hope your week has been good. This is, I guess, part two, or one, if we were in programming, for Been a Week, which is a short little thing that I'm trying to do, no matter where I am. So today is no excuse. It is Friday, as promised, and I'm delivering even though I am on the road. I'm taking a quick trip up to Omaha, Nebraska to see my family. This is where I'm from. Factoid, and so that's what I'm doing, and it is, I don't even know what time it is, but it's gonna be late when I get there, but that's okay because the video is worth it. So I'm taking a trip. Tea this week. I feel like I've let everyone down again because I don't have like actual tea. I have a Quick Trip tea from my Quick Trip to Omaha. It's impossible to discern the blend that I have in here because I've mixed several kinds. It's very, very sweet, probably too sweet, but it'll keep me up while I'm driving, which is good. The sugar is always funny in Quick Trip tea. I like it better than any other gas station or anything like that. If you're gonna get convenience tea, then I would go with that. But soon I hope to have actual like tea leaves and things. It's kind of killing me that I've done this twice without that. So what else? Intake this week. I watched The Edge of Tomorrow. Now, I have a couple different opinions on this, and I will be writing something that I'm going to post down below, probably retroactively because I haven't written it yet. But as I'm driving tonight, actually we'll probably be driving on The Edge of Tomorrow by the time I get to Omaha. So I have conflicting opinions because the first is that it's sci-fi. As sci-fi, it's really good, and there's a lot of really great stuff in the film. It's kind of how would I put maybe like an Independence Day meets Black Hawk Down. Maybe I probably just offended all my film friends, but it's an interesting take on kind of a timeless story. I really thought it would be funny to watch that and then go directly home and watch Groundhog Day, and see if that, there were different similarities I could pull. I didn't do that, although I may before I do my write-up, just to keep it interesting. Edge of Tomorrow, it's an interesting film. One of the things I really like about it is the way that they portray him having to go through these situations, and after a while he kind of becomes numb to the process, which I read I think it was a psychologist wrote about the film and said it kind of removes the PTSD, the effects that this battle would have on a person, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's an interesting one, so watch out for that. Also, watch out, if you haven't seen it or you're rewatching it, watch for the phrase, I'm probably going to butcher this, but you'll know it because he says it twice looking directly at the camera, so we know it's important. And he says, I'm going to keep talking and eventually it's going to make sense, or something like that. Again, I probably just offended a bunch of people. But he says this very, very intentionally 2 times directly at the camera, and it's very purposeful for him saying it. And so I'm curious how that affects the overall film's message, or what the film is trying to portray through this idea of, look, I know this is crazy, but let me keep talking. And I'm trying not to read too much into it, but it's there for a reason, and so it's kind of an interesting thing if you do watch it. Shoot the Muse. Shoot the Muse this week is name spacing. It's kind of an interesting thing to me. I have an interest because I'm really bad at naming things, but I'm fascinated when you find a name that sticks, or you find a name that's really good. So for example, my grandfather ran a clock shop, clock repair, things like that, in Ralston, Nebraska, which is just outside Omaha, Nebraska, and he called it Ralston House of Clocks because that's where he was and that's what he did. And it was simple. It's sticky, it's got a nice little ring to it. Well, he found out by someone being kind of belligerent, apparently, and he tells the story of someone coming and saying, hey, my shop is called Ralston House of Clocks, I was here first, you can't do that, change your name. So my grandfather, being both a little bit snarky and but also trying to keep the peace, said he would change his name and changed it to the Ralston House of Clocks, which, if you ever heard my grandfather tell that story, then you would have seen the wry smile as he paused and said he didn't like that too much. But it made me think about where we are now, and I realize there's, there are ways you can get around names, you can do DBAs and all this kind of stuff, but now we have almost limitless possibilities when it comes to naming conventions. We have all these new domain names that are coming out. We have virtually every combination of anything that we could ever want, dot whatever, which is a decent one. Now I'm thinking about dot whatever domains, but we have all these possibilities now because all of these prefixes are available, and so you can literally say, oh shucks, the .com is taken, maybe I want the .net, or I want the .hotel, or whatever they have now, and so part of me says the consumer is going to have to fight to remember those names or those locations, and so I'm sure there's trademarks and things like that where you can't take the .com of someone who has the .hotel and is a registered business or whatever, but it's interesting to me how that has changed. Where before, in this tiny town of Ralston, my grandfather encountered someone with the same name as him, and the guy said, you got to change this. You can't call your business this. And now you can pick a name from a near limitless supply of names, but then also append it with whatever you want, and maybe even have the same name as someone else. Now I realize, again, that's different than an actual business name and things like that, but name spacing is a really fascinating thing, and what makes a name sticky? Why do I remember that if you're going to get convenience tea, that Quick Trip is a really good brand? Why do I remember this over something else? Or why do I think this when I see those colors and stuff like that? The name association and the fact that we have all these doors unlocked for us now as we're creating things and doing stuff like these little videos. So that's what I'm going to leave you with this week, Shoot the Muse, and I think that's about it. I will be back again next Friday, as promised, and we'll see what happens. So I guess I'll see you when it's been about a week.